Hi, today we're going to look at chapter 1 in your marketing impact module. We're going to look at the first assessment criteria, AC 1.1. Let's get started. So the first assessment criteria in chapter 1 is to assess the purpose of marketing in an organization. So what is the purpose of marketing? Now, if you look at marketing is an important function, and marketing is the only function that brings in the revenue to the organization. All the other functions are cost incurring functions within the organization. Example, if you take finance, IT, operations, HR, they all bring about a cost to the organization. But marketing is the only function that talks about sales, which means revenue, which means income. So without marketing, it is very difficult to sustain an organization because you need to sell and you need to market your products so that you can cover all your other costs within the organization. So if you ask me, that is the biggest purpose of marketing and the importance of marketing. However, we are going to now delve into some further criteria as to the purpose of marketing and why marketing is so important for the organization. So this is your recommended reading book by Philip Kotler. It's called Principles of Marketing, 19th edition. This book is in your recommended reading list. Please go through it when you have time. I have taken certain chapters of it, which would be related to your assessment criteria, and you may read the chapter under the corresponding assessment criteria. Okay, so let's get started. So today we're going to look at the first assessment criteria in your first chapter, understanding the purpose and contribution of marketing to the organization. Under that, we have two assessment criteria. The first one is what we're going to cover now. What is the purpose of marketing? In other words, guys, we are talking here about the need for marketing or why marketing is required for an organization. Why do we need marketing in an organization? And under that, we have certain indicative content that we are going to cover today. As you can see, there are many bullets there, about 11 bullets that we're going to cover during today's class. So let's start with the first one. The first discussion we're going to have is on the definition of marketing. Now, some of you would have worked in a marketing organization. Maybe some of you are currently working or intending to get into marketing. Doesn't matter. The Chartered Institute of Marketing is the world's largest marketing body situated in UK, and it defines marketing as a management process responsible for identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customer requirements at a profit and in a socially responsible manner. Now, you need to study this definition. It is a universal definition of marketing. And there are certain keywords, as you can see, which are in color blue. And I'm going to now talk to you a little bit about them. Marketing is classified as a management process. It's a process because marketing involves analysis, planning, implementation, and control. So you need to analyze the marketing environment, develop a marketing plan, implement or execute the marketing plan, and control the direction of your marketing plan. We call this the EPIC framework. And this is a process. First, you need to analyze, then you need to plan, then you need to execute or implement, and finally, you need to control the plan. And because it's a process, in the definition, we understand that marketing is a scientific process that one needs to follow. And we also, as marketers, need to do three things here, where we talk about how we can identify customer requirements. So how do you identify customer requirements? Usually, you need to study the customer in order to identify the needs, wants, and demands of the customer. The needs, the wants, and the demands of the customer. So you need to identify, and you need to do market research to identify the changing customer requirements. Anticipation. Anticipate means you anticipate the future changes. You identify the current changes, but you anticipate the future changes. How will the customer behave in the future? That is something that none of us will know, but we can only envision and anticipate. And finally, satisfy. Another word here is delight. How can you satisfy or delight the customer? Go beyond satisfaction and do it profitably. This is very, very important because marketing must deliver profits. At the end of the day, the end game is for marketing to be profitable. And we must earn money for the organization, earn profits, but do it in a socially responsible manner. In a socially responsible manner. Marketers are called to increasingly be socially responsible, environmentally conscious. And that is the definition of marketing. Let us now proceed to the next slide. So here's another definition. As you can see, there are many authors who provide definitions. This one's by Philip Kotler. He uses some keywords here that talks about marketing as a set of strategies and activities. So marketing includes some strategies and activities that companies may use to acquire customers, engage customers. So marketing is a function that talks about customer acquisition, customer engagement, and build strong customer relationships, and how you would create superior customer value, right? These are all keywords when you ask the question, why do we need marketing? Purpose of marketing. Remember, that is your assessment criteria in 1.1. So we need marketing to build superior customer experiences, to acquire customers, to engage customers, and to create superior customer value, to capture value from customers in return as well. So if you put it into a graphical illustration, marketing at the end of the day should deliver profits. How do you ensure you deliver value? By understanding the needs and wants of the customer. And then you come up with a comprehensive marketing strategy, a marketing plan, a marketing program, and then you build profitable relationships, loyalty with the customer, and that will hopefully result in customer loyalty and more profits. So this is another definition of marketing, which has been put into a diagram here. So you can see now that there are many reasons as to why one would practice marketing. So the broad purpose of marketing can be, right? It can be to achieve many, many things. I spoke to you that marketing, the first point is about marketing as a management process. So marketing is to analyze, plan, implement, and control. As per the definition, marketing is to identify, anticipate, and satisfy customer needs and wants, which we'll be looking at later today. Marketing will create customer value. How you would enhance the value, marketers need to define that. And the marketing philosophy is to put the customer at the center of all the activities in the organization. So you need to have a unique culture, what we call a marketing led or a marketing oriented culture. Now, when you walk into some companies, you would see some of them are extremely customer friendly. Those are organizations that are marketing oriented. And you can also understand that marketing will help achieve a competitive advantage. How would you outsmart your competitors? How would you achieve an advantage over your rivals? Marketing should also be a function that promotes agility. What do you mean by agility? Agility means the flexibility, the speed to market, how you would be agile and nimble as an organization and deliver a higher level of customer value. And then marketing also needs to understand the trends in the environment, and marketing needs to identify the opportunities for growth. We will be looking at the ANSOS matrix a little later in order to identify how to do that. All right. So I spoke about the four functions of marketing: analysis, planning, implementation, and control. You need to study this. This is called APIC. And marketing is a management process because we follow this process of analysis, planning, implementation, and control. And when we talk about marketing planning, there are many planning models available, and these are from the respective authors. So APIC, for instance, that we just discussed, was developed by Philip Kotler. And then you have a famous tool called the SOSTAC framework, SOSTAC, situation analysis, objectives, strategy, tactics, action, and control. So the SOSTAC framework is a framework we can use for a marketing plan. And then we have another framework called the MOST framework: mission, objectives, strategy, and tactics. And then we have the planning journey, the 5 questions of marketing planning. Where are we now? Where do we want to be? How do we get there? Which way is best? And how do we ensure arrival? So these are 4 planning frameworks, 4 planning models. And we are going to spend some time looking at the SOSTAC framework a little later on. Then we try to understand marketing as an exchange process. Marketing is an exchange process between the buyer and the seller. The buyer and the seller. So the sellers would hand over goods and services that they have manufactured to a set of buyers who would part with their money. And this is called the exchange process. Now, this exchange process will happen well if the buyers value the goods and services more than the money that is parted. And if the sellers value the money more than the goods and services that they offer. So the sellers would communicate through advertising to the market of buyers who would then pay money and collect their goods and services. And before that happens, they will ask for more information when they see the communication or the ads. So we call this an exchange process. Marketing is actually a profession that facilitates the exchange process between a set of buyers and sellers. And when we talk of marketing, we talk of these three words. We talk about customer needs, customer wants, and customer demands. Now, in this example, you can see the Starbucks CEO. He's spending a lot of time with the frontliners, CEO Kevin Johnson, right? Who likes to understand customer wants and customer needs by working with the front lines, by talking to customers, by wiping tables, by handing out orders, by brewing the coffee. And you can't learn that by staying in a boardroom. So today, the best way to understand the customer is to get your hands and feet dirty, get down to the mud, roll up your sleeves, and to really understand the needs, the wants, the demands, and to feel the pulse of the customer. So what is a need? You see, a need, it says here, is a state of felt deprivation. But what it means is when we are born, all of us have needs. Needs pre-exist. Marketers don't create needs. Marketers create wants. I'll give you an example. So you might have a need right now, you might be hungry. Hunger is a need that we all got from birth. Hunger is a need that we all got from birth. Marketers didn't create hunger, that was there physiologically from birth. So the needs are something that marketers don't create, it pre-exists. But what marketers create are wants. You might be hungry now, which is a need, but you might want a burger from Burger King. You might want a kottu from Pilaus. You might want Chinese food from Chinese Dragon. You might want some Indian food from, I don't know, whatever place. So you can see marketers have created brands. You want certain brands, but the need pre-exists. Okay. Now, what are demands? So need pre-exists. Let's say I want to go to Kandy from Colombo. The need there is mobility. You want to move from one place to another. Mobility. And there are many ways to do it. I can go in a Mercedes Benz. I can go in a Bajaj three-wheeler. I can go in a Tata bus, right? I can go in whatever the branded train, or I can go in a cinnamon aeroplane, right? Seaplane, or whatever, right? Plane. So you can see there are many brands of options that marketers have created, to fulfill this mobility requirement from A to B. But demands are when wants are backed by an ability to purchase. So I might want to go in a Mercedes Benz to Kandy, but I can't afford it. So I have to go in a Tata bus, right? So marketers might create wants, but not every customer can demand for it. That will depend on their disposable income levels. Okay, so that is the difference between needs, wants, and demands. And when we talk of marketing, at the heart of marketing are to understand the needs, wants, and consumer behavior and the demands of customers. And then we also, when we talk of marketing, we understand market segmentation. How do you segment the market? And I spoke of how marketing is an exchange process, how you can add value and satisfy the customers, and also developing offers to create experiences are all part of the purpose of marketing. So this chapter, we are going to investigate why is marketing practiced. Here are some other reasons. Now, marketing is also a source of value. What do you mean by a value? Usually this value is something that is intangible in the mind of the customer, right? Sometimes when we go to buy a car, we will ask for added value. So after you have decided to buy the car, still you'll tell them, can I have a cover for the car? Then they will say, okay, we'll give you a cover for the car for the same price. Now you don't stop there. You'll say, can I now have a cover for the steering wheel? Okay, we'll give you a cover for the steering wheel. Can I change the setup in the car, the music sound system, and can I have another one? Sorry, we can't do that. We'll have to charge you for that. So they won't give you that. Okay, then if you're not giving me that, can you give me 2 extra after sales services for the car? So then they will say, okay, we will give you that. So as customers, we constantly ask for added value. We constantly ask for added value. That's what we do as customers. So marketing can be a source of information. Marketing needs to provide information. When you buy a product as a customer, you will look for a lot of information. So marketing needs to provide that. And our job as marketers is also to make the customer's life easy. Via convenience, we also need to employ digital technologies, understand the customer journey, and make the customer's life easy. Marketing should also deliver a competitive advantage where you need to attempt to outperform your rivals and earn a higher than average or a disproportionate profitability. Marketing also seeks to attain a certain association in the mind of the customer. So example, when you think of Rolex, you think of luxury, you think of the large crown, you think of celebrities. So a brand can be built on certain associations. We call them brand associations. Sometimes they are negative associations as well. And I spoke about added value. Things like after-sales service, technical support are all part of added value that marketing must aim to deliver. So when we talk of marketing, we also talk about this word called a value proposition. Marketing needs to create what we call a strong value proposition. So when the customer buys a product, you are buying a bundle of benefits. Now, in this example, we talk about how JetBlue, which is a budget airline, in their main value proposition communicated in their ad is the fact that they are an award-winning service team. They're an award-winning service team. That is their VP or their value proposition. So all products and brands should ask themselves, what is your value proposition? If you're a hotel, there are many other hotels, sometimes in the same vicinity. But how are you differentiating yourself? What is your value proposition compared to the other hotels in the vicinity? Do you have better restaurants? Do you have better beds to sleep than the other hotels? Do you have maybe music, right? Or any other facility? How are you differentiating yourself? How do you package your bundle of benefits? So a brand's value proposition is a set of benefits, the sum total benefits, tangible and intangible, that you offer your customers to satisfy their wants. Okay. And Steve Jobs put it nicely when he said, let's go invent tomorrow rather than worrying about what happened yesterday. So marketing is a catalyst for change. If there's something permanent that we know will always happen, this world will change. So you cannot go by the successes of what you achieved 4 or 5 years ago. You need to reinvent yourself. And you need to know that change is permanent. And marketing needs to deliver new satisfactions, new benefits to customers so that you keep changing your products and services. And here we talk about the philosophy of marketing. You see, the philosophy, we say marketing is a philosophy, right? We also say Buddhism is a philosophy, right? So when we say the word philosophy means a set of principles, a set of rules. So the number one rule in marketing is put the customer at the center of everything you do. Think like the customer. Evaluate your products and services like the customer. Feel the pain of the customer. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. Go through the same journey that the customer goes through in buying your product or service. And that is sort of what we're talking about here. Put the customer at the center of all your thinking in the organization and ask yourself, what is the value the customer is getting? What is the customer experience and the customer journey the customer will go through? And that is the philosophy of marketing. And that is coined in this term called marketing orientation. Now, here we are trying to distinguish between sales orientation and marketing orientation. So in a sales-oriented organization, the focus is mainly on selling. And sometimes you would oversell. They say you would even try to sell a fridge to an Eskimo. An Eskimo doesn't need a fridge, but you would try to promote a fridge to an Eskimo because you are really good in your sales. So a marketing-oriented company will not do that. You don't consider your customers as a one-off single transaction. Instead, you will consider your customer as a lifetime of transactions. And the difference between sales and marketing is that marketing is when you sell a value proposition so that the customer will be happy for many years after the transaction. And if you put the customer at the center of all your thinking, when you're manufacturing your product, when you're distributing your product, when you're packaging your product, when you're marketing and selling your product, then you would be definitely understanding the needs, the wants, and the demands of the customer and practice marketing orientation within the organization. So the philosophy of marketing is something that would put the customer at the center of every activity in the organization. You would focus exclusively on the needs of the customer. And it's sort of a customer mania that you would have in the organization. It is a set of principles or rules that you'll have for everyone in the organization to put the customer and to think like the customer and to feel the pain of the customer. And marketing also supports customer acquisition, customer retention, and customer conversion. So when we talk about that, we talk about how you would acquire a customer acquisition. And that is principally sales function, getting in more new customers. And then we will cross-sell. Cross-sell means if you have two products, you can cross-sell between two products. You can promote this product to this customer and this product to this customer. Example, let's say in a bank, you have credit cards and savings accounts. So you can promote savings account holders who have no credit card, you can cross-sell credit cards. And if you have credit card customers without a savings account, you can promote them a savings account. We call that cross-selling. We call that cross-selling. Upselling. Upselling is, let's say, if you go to buy a car, first you start by promoting the lowest category. But then you realize this customer can afford more. So you would then sell the next category. If you feel the customer can promote more, can spend more money, then you send a SUV. So then you send a four-wheel drive. So upselling is that. Upselling is to ensure that if the customer can afford it, sell the higher priced product. That is called upselling. And the Akura model talks about how you retain customers. Marketing must aim to devise strategies to retain customers, customer retention strategies. And how you can get customers to bring in other customers. We call that advocacy or creating advocates. So these are all things that marketers spend their time during their marketing during the days of work. These are what marketers do. You need to spend time looking at acquisition, conversion, and retention. And marketing should aim to deliver a competitive advantage. As you can see, Michael Phelps here has size 14 feet. And the girl on the left has a natural comparative advantage. She's so tall. So physically, these athletes have an advantage. Physically, they have an advantage. Michael Phelps is like a fish, the most highest decorated Olympian in the world, 28 Olympic medals. Probably no one will break that record. And the advantage is he has a physical advantage. So how can you turn a company's advantage if you have a location advantage, if you have certain skills of certain staff, how can that be converted into what we call a competitive advantage? In Sinhalese, we call it the Tarangakari Vasya, a competitive advantage. So the definition of a competitive advantage is the means by which a company can outperform its rivals. How do you outperform? How do you beat your competitors and earn higher than average profits or disproportionate profitability. So a competitive advantage can come through three ways. It can come through an experience, it can come through talent, or the quality of coordination of activities within the organization. And we now go into the final theory of assessment criteria 1.1. This theory is called the Anzoff's matrix, and it is at the heart of marketing. So the Anzoff's matrix by Iger Anzoff talks about opportunities for growth, and marketers need to talk about growth opportunities in the boardroom. So there are four strategic options here. Four strategic options: market penetration, product development, market development, and diversification. So I'll give you a bit of an example for you to understand this. If you are serving a current market with current products, that is called market penetration. So how can Cambridge College penetrate the market? How can Cambridge College increase its revenue through market penetration? That is staying within the current market with the current products. Example, we can give discounts. If we give discounts, right, you are staying within the current market with your current products, but you're increasing revenue. You can also advertise. If you advertise more, that will create awareness. You're staying within your current products, current markets, and you're penetrating the market. So these are ways in which you can practice cross-selling, upselling, and these are all sub-strategies of market penetration. Then another strategic option is to pursue product development. Product development is you stay within the same market, current market, but you launch new products. So example, for CCBM, we are in marketing, so we have CIM, but can you go to the same market, that is the marketing field, but can you launch new products? Can you have a marketing training program? Marketing training programs. Can you introduce marketing, right? Can you introduce a marketing MBA? Right? Can you introduce a marketing degree? So we are launching new products to the same market. New products to the same market. That is called product development strategy because it's new products. Then you have market development strategy. Market development strategy is when CCBM, Cambridge College, stays within the same products, that is CIM, but you take it to new markets. Example, if Cambridge College launch CIM in Maldives, that's a new geographic market. That means you're now gone into a new market with the same products. Market development strategy. And diversification is when you go with new products to new markets. So let's say tomorrow, Cambridge College launches a restaurant. It's a completely new business, and we go into a new market. We launch it in Jaffna. So that is diversification. New products in new markets. So I hope you understood the four strategic options: market penetration, product development, market development, and diversification. These are four strategic options that provides opportunities for growth within the organization. I have given you a definition here. I have given you a definition here, which gives you a clear explanation of this. And Starbucks is one company that has grown exponentially. It was a small coffee shop in Seattle. I have been to their Seattle coffee shop. As you can see, the picture is there. It was a very small coffee shop. Today, it has grown to one of the biggest franchises in the world, thanks to the strategic options, market penetration, product development, market development, and diversification. And these are the sub-strategies that are associated with the ANSOS matrix. So that's about it for your first assessment criteria. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the assessment criteria. We're going to cover your syllabus using the assessment criteria. At the end of each chapter, now I have included some other reading material. So please click on the other reading material for chapter 1.1. And please read what I have included there. I have maybe included one chapter from Philip Kotler's book. And after you finish reading that, there is also a CIM video that you can watch, which is related to your syllabus. And after you do that, there is an exam that you can attempt using the exam engine link. I have included the password there. Please check what the password is and attempt that. Don't worry about the marks. As soon as you will finish the exam, you will get an email with your marks, and I will get an email with your marks and your name. You can click on the link on email and see the correct answers, and then you can compare after you finish the exam. So after you finish every assessment criteria, I have given you an exam. Don't worry about the marks, because sometimes there might be some areas that you don't understand in the exam. But eventually, even as you do 4 or 5 exams, you then will understand all the points. All right. So that's about it from assessment criteria 1.1. I'll see you in assessment criteria 1.2. Thank you.